The Future-Proof Human. How to thrive in the age of AI, chaos, and change.
Why AI now? Why did AI become suddenly such a hot topic? In this module, we will discuss why you cannot ignore AI and why your AI initiative must start now with a sense of urgency. And also, why education is extremely important for yourself and for your teams and your organization. These are the topic we're going to cover today. Now, why is suddenly a AI is a leadership crisis, and why is it right now? In order to answer these questions, you have to go back to November 30th, 2022. What actually happened on that day? OpenAI released ChatGPT to the public as a research project. Now, since just within 5 days of ChatGPT's release, 1 million users tried ChatGPT. Now, the reason that was a moment because this was the first time that a normal users without understanding any kind of a complexity behind AI, people are able to use ChatGPT, talk to it and ask question and get answers in a human natural language. That was the aha moment. So this big bang moment started with November 30, 2022. With this unprecedented growth that it saw, it just continued. What happened within the next 2 months? 100 million users came on board to use ChatGPT. That is the fastest growth in technology adoption in human history. Now, to put things into perspective, let's take a look at how other companies did in the past in terms of getting to 100 million users journey. So if you look at the screen here, you can see that Netflix took 18 years to get to 100 million users. Spotify took 11 years, Twitter 5 years, Facebook 4.5 years, Instagram 2.5 years. If you look at that scale, ChatGPT going to 100 million users in just 2 months is unprecedented. Now, this is just another view of the same information, but the growth curve of ChatGPT or OpenAI versus Facebook, Instagram, and Netflix. As you can see, the Facebook, Instagram, and Netflix, these charts are almost linear, even the slope is different. But the ChatGPT graph 2022, it went to public, and then immediately it became a exponential curve that you can see. It actually crossed its elbow and it is growing so fast. Within 2 months, it had 100 million users, and right now ChatGPT has over 700 million users, and it has been only out there for 3 years, just barely 3 years. So that is an explosion of user base, and the adoption has been in a dizzying fast. Now, this graph here shows you an exponential growth curve, and AI is growing at the exponential part of the graph right here. Exponential curve can be pretty deceptive. At the beginning of the graph, things go very slow. 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, something like that. And then it explodes in terms of growth. Now, it's very difficult to visualize this, what that could really mean for AI. I want to explain this and illustrate further the exponential growth. I want to share the rice grain parable with you. The story goes like this. When the chessboard was invented in the 6th century by a wise man, in the kingdom of Sher Khan, a local Indian king. The king had asked the genius, "What do you want as a gift or as a reward for your invention?" And the wise man, being humble, he said, "Your Majesty, I only want rice." Now, how much? I want one rice in the first box, two in the second, four in the third, eight in the fourth, and so on and so forth. Basically, he wanted rice in an exponential scale up to the 64th box. Well, the king thought the guy was being foolish, only looking for rice for his reward. So he ordered his people to bring him the rice. Few minutes later, the king's royal mathematician came back and says, "Your Majesty, we got a problem." So what do you think is the problem is? All right, let me show you what the problem is. If you do the math, the rice on the 64th box using the exponential scale would be 9 quintillion 223 quadrillion 372 trillion 36 billion 854,775,808 grains of rice. What that really means, if you translate that into billion metric tons, that will be about 230 billion metric tons of rice. What does that mean in terms of times and the world production? In today's world production capacity, it would take 426 years to produce this amount of rice. In other words, 4.25 century the world has to work to produce this amount of rice. This just shows you how quickly the exponential growth can happen, and the deception of the curve cannot be underestimated. You can see the math on the left hand side, how this number came to be 9 quintillion figures, right? So what I want to show you here is AI is growing at an exponential speed, both in terms of adoption as well as development. So it cannot be ignored. Now, if you look at the last several years, what has happened? November 2022, when ChatGPT was released to the public, that was acting as the catalyst for the universal acceptance or universal adoption of AI and ChatGPT. Prior to that, it's not that the AI research just started. AI has been in the making for the last 50 years. The AI was adopted relatively in the niche area, with limited experts. But then November 2022 started the fervor around the world, and today it is so much investment is going into AI research that it is only going to get better and better every single day and the fastest speed possible. Now, just to show you what is the amount of money that has gone into AI research just in 2025, this is from Gartner, 1.4, almost 1.5 trillion, can you imagine? $1 trillion was spent on AI in 2025. You can see the money is poured into the software and services, infrastructure, chips, and devices. This is only going to fuel the fire even more, right? If you look at this type of investment, what do you think the results are? Results are pretty obvious. So here in this screen that I'm showing you, large language models memory in 2022 was 3,000 words. It could barely remember one large article. Now in 2025, large language model, the Gemini, has a 1.5 million words memorization capacity. That is equivalent to almost memorizing an entire library. So you can see how the investments are already starting to pay off and making things just super efficient and better. Now, what is happening, with the AI is really a knowledge transfer. Knowledge transfer from where to where? If you think about it, today's world, our knowledge is usually locked in our expert, human experts. If somebody is an experienced engineer, they may have a lot of knowledge. You have your programmers, your developers, they have all the knowledge in their heads. Now with these large language models, they have all of the knowledge captured into the AI models. So there is a tremendous amount of redundancy being developed, with these models. So you don't have to necessarily go to an expert for all of your questions. You could go to a large language model like ChatGPT or Copilot or Gemini. You can ask questions in any domain, and these models are able to answer you, with a high confidence and high probability. That is a huge transformation that is happening in the industry. Now, in terms of the development of these models are improving such a fast speed, the next big thing that is happening is the rise of AI agents. Now, what is really an AI agent? In current model, the we are using, like, say, ChatGPT, where you can go ask a question to the chatbot and it gives you answer. This is great. However, what if you really wanted an agent to do an entire process end to end? For example, if you have a conference that you need to organize, all you have to define for the agentic AI that you are hosting a conference with X number of people. You have certain amount of budget. There are certain taste for the hotels and the cars, etc. You define the problem, and the agent is going to go do all the searching the internet, find the best venue, find the best hotel, find the best car. All of those arrangement is going to be made by an AI agent. So you go from simple Q&A type of chatbot to a simply complete workflow driven autonomous agent. That is where the direction is going, and there has been a huge amount of investment made in the agentic model, and you are going to see the agentic AI become the normal in the future. So the question is not, should we use AI? It is rather how quickly can we integrate it effectively. And the reason for that is very simple, because if you don't do it, your competitions are not going to be sitting around. They're already working on it. They're going to be doing it. So if you really wait until the 63rd square on the chess box, you are going to be way, way behind. So how do you, as a leader in an organization, how do you want to lead the transformation, and why should you do it? Study shows that people using chatbot effectively, just simply using the chatbots effectively, there is a 20% productivity gain, just from that alone. And that is a huge gain, given all you're asking them to use chatbot to do their daily work. Now, in order to effectively use AI, you need to be aware of something called prompt engineering. Now, what is prompt engineering? Prompt engineering, even though it sounds like engineering and complicated, it's really not. It is a management topic. It's basically your ability to work with AI effectively, being able to define the problem correctly for AI, asking the right question so that you can get high quality results and the right results. So in order to become really effective with AI, you need to learn prompt engineering. Now, study shows that people who are better at working with AI, the trained managers who is able to ask AI the right questions and define the problem correctly, they are over 50 producing over 50% more efficient than managers who are not trained. So use case is very obvious. Yourself and your teams should become knowledgeable in how to use AI as fast as you can so that you could take advantage of this capability for your organization. Now, the truth is, a lot of those tools, ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, and many others, Anthropic, they're available out there. You don't have to necessarily buy a subscription to use them. And when people in your organization know about this tool, they're already using them. I am pretty sure that some people are already using them without proper guardrails in place. So your job as a leader is to get ahead of this so that you could prevent, some damages to your corporations going forward. So get ahead in front of the crowd and make sure that you have the right policies in place, proper measures in place, and people are trained effectively so they can start using them. That would be the way to lead your organization with the proper preparedness and proper policies in place so that nobody gets in trouble and you can drive AI initiative effectively. So, on the regulatory side, regulations are always behind but catching up. In June 2023, European AI Act was introduced with the risk management in mind, and it became effective in 2025. And the regulations around the world is still being developed and coming up. So, and your job as a leader is to become familiar with those regulations so that you could implement AI in compliance and use them effectively. Now, how should you lead the transformation? Here are few steps that you can follow. Number one, engage. You need to engage directly with the AI tools yourself. You need to become familiar with them and how to use them. And then you need to be able to communicate with the AI systems effectively. And then your third step would be understanding the regulations that are coming up and how they are impacting your organization and how you should be preparing for your AI initiative. And the last thing is you are the one as a leader to be guiding your teams towards responsible use of AI. That means you need to bring your teams up to speed in terms of education knowledge, both on the technology side as well as regulation side. Once you have done that, you have prepared your organization to be able to take advantage of AI, use it on your own benefit, and then implement it in a responsible manner. So the choice is really simple. You can either lead the transformation or you can be led by the transformation. Trust me, if you are not leading it, someone else will. The giant corporation can fall under a new startup that could effectively use AI and take over your business, just like Netflix did for Blockbuster and Amazon did to the Borders in terms of the book business, right? So, in the world of exponential time, when growth is so fast, so quick, you cannot wait until everything is 100% ready. Something that is 80% working today is probably not going to take 6 years to become 100% effective and efficient. It may take 2 months. So you don't want to wait until the 63rd square on the chessboard. You want to start initiating your AI projects now with an urgency, even if it is 80% ready. This would give you an opportunity to learn, get your organization ready, and be prepared to compete with everyone else who is getting ready and prepared to get ahead into the competition. So waiting is fatal in exponential time. You could destroy your company, your career, if you wait too long. So get on board, start with the education, get your organization ready, get your teams ready, get yourself ready, and then implement AI, with compliance and in a responsible manner. Hopefully, that gives you enough reason why you should initiate your AI project immediately so that you can stay ahead of the competition. Thank you for watching.
The Future-Proof Human. How to thrive in the age of AI, chaos, and change.